Insight 183. For those who are in pursuit of pleasure, pure indulgent pleasure, it is beneficial for them to realize that the complexity, depths, and sensitivities of people's minds and heart are exceedingly varied and engaging to such a degree that being involved with an individual deeply and earnestly by means of infinite varied activities, including the sexual, is the most indulgent one can get. Those in pursuit of pleasure must understand that pursuit of sex alone, without the variedness of the depth and complexities and intimacies of emotional and mental connections, is simply treading shallow water and shallow pleasure. It is not indulgent. There is much pleasure in variety and in depth on many levels. Those in pursuit of pleasure are cheating themselves out of indulgence. Likewise, in relationships, those who engage in sexual activity, who have not developed an in-depth understanding of each other and of each other's complexities, are simply cheating themselves out of the most beautiful, ecstatic pleasure. For since the sexual act is an expression of what one thinks and feels about the other person, its depth of pleasure is limited to the depths of understanding and relating to each other. Having understood this, the intelligent and the lover of indulgence both recognize that one ought to pursue knowing and relating to the person to great depths. Meaning, in order to know pleasure to a phenomenal degree, one must know the person to a phenomenal degree. Having understood this helps one to quiet down one's passions and start interacting mentally and emotionally with one's partner. Besides the complexity of the person, the sheer existence of the person is something phenomenal. To interact with life is wondrous and marvelous, and one must not take that for granted. One must continually become aware with each passing day of this marvel which we call life. This life is within each individual and in each being. Knowing the habit of the mind to become indifferent to what it is continuously exposed to, one ought to refresh one's perspective of beings in the universe every morning to correct one's vision. This is particularly true in modern times, since people are very busily interacting with each other. Since the mind becomes indifferent to what it is continuously exposed to, also the manipulator has to continuously invent new ways to present sex to keep your mind from becoming indifferent to their manipulations. That was a long insight. So, I'm addressing the people who like and want to be engaged in indulgent pleasure. They want to indulge in pleasure. Well, if such a person goes after just that, he is missing out. He cannot actually get it. How indulgent pleasure is experienced is by mentally and emotionally connecting with somebody. Do you know how deep and complex people are? You have to get to know somebody mentally and emotionally deeply, connecting honestly. And when you do so, then use the sexual expression and many other ways to express yourself, love, to this person. And then you feel, then you experience indulgent pleasure. If people don't take the time to really know somebody mentally and emotionally, and if you believe in spirituality and spiritually, if you do not go into the depths of a person and learn and relate, it's like having a birthday cake of some sort and just having a little slim slice from the very top of the icing. Slice. When you want to have a cake, you take the whole cake. From top to bottom, you cut it and you have it. Right? The whole thing is very delicious. All the different layers put together, so magnificent. Now imagine you want to interact with a person and you're not getting down to the depths of this person, what you're missing. and you're just trying a little pleasure on the top, you call that sex? No. That's shallow, meaning it's not very deep. it's very thin layered. It's not very indulgent in pleasure. So if you really want pleasure, get to really know the person, get to really care for the person, get to really know their depths, emotionally and mentally. Ah, yes, and then when you express yourself by speech, by writing a poem, by dancing together, interacting with each other in so innumerable ways, including the sexual, every activity will be just so marvelous to you. You'll be experiencing great pleasure.